What's up, everyone? Welcome to This Day in Philly Sports History for March 29th, 2025. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Saturday edition of the podcast, Phillies Game 2 edition of the podcast. Let's start with some quick housekeeping notes. First, be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont on Twitter and TikTok. On Instagram, at PhillyJimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont, and continue to spread the word as we grow this. We have Joe Cranley's friends reaching out to me. That's how Lenny found me, was on my social media. So just continue to spread the word as we grow this thing. I keep saying it's a grassroots movement, so let's keep it moving. Speaking of Lenny, check out the link in the description. His book, Playing with the Best, One Man's Journey Through the Golden Era of Sports, is available wherever you get your books. There's an audio version. It's on Amazon. You can get it from his website. It's the story of Walter French. But as I keep saying, it's not just a biography. And that's what I really like about this. I don't necessarily read a ton of books, but this one piqued my interest because it was more than just Walter's story. It talked about some of the figures and people that were in his life. It gave you a brief history of the history of football. It talked a lot about the history of baseball. Also, what was going on in the country. So if you're a history person, you will love this book. Playing with the Best, One Man's Journey Through the Golden Era of Sports. Lenny will be at the Mount Laurel Historical Society on April 8th doing a little presentation and signing copies of his book. All the details you need is in the description. And then starting April 1st, I will start airing some of the clips from the interview I did with Lenny, talking specifically about Walter's pro baseball career as well as his NFL career. We touch on the Pottsville Maroons. Very interesting stuff if you like a lot of history from the early days of the games. But again, all of that is in the description, so be sure to check Lenny out and support him by buying his book, Playing with the Best, One Man's Journey Through the Golden Era of Sports. And it is available on Audible if you're more of an audiobook listener like me. I tend to listen a lot when I go on walks and work out at the gym. So go check out Lenny's book. All right, as I mentioned, Phillies in action today, 4:05 against Nationals. Jesus Luzardo makes his debut. I'm really looking forward to seeing him pitch today. It's supposed to be beautiful. Going over to a friend's house, watch the game outside. It's just going to be an awesome day for baseball. Hopefully, Jesus Luzardo lives up to the hype. We're probably going to see the other lineup, the new portion of the lineup, I guess. Trey hit lead off on Thursday, apparently because of the righty on the mound. Kyle Schwarber will hit leadoff, and we'll see how that impacts. No word yet on if the shadows are going to play a role. I don't know if you heard that or not, but Bohm said it. I mean, and I guess it was bad. I mean, and I'll take it like this. It wasn't necessarily the hitters making excuses, because when I saw an interview with Zach Wheeler, he said, absolutely, man, you try to pitch quick to get as many innings in with the shadows. So it is a disadvantage for the hitters. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm looking for them to be a little bit better at that today, though. The other thing, I missed this after Bryce's home run. He did the Eagles celebration, which is pretty cool. And that does lead, might as well get right into it, leads into the recap of yesterday's question of the day. Bryce Harper has been a godsend since he signed with the Phillies. But yesterday, we spent Fridays with AI, and we created an alternate reality, or I should say AI created an alternate reality where Bryce doesn't sign with the Phillies. They end up winning a World Series in 2023. They bring in Theo Epstein as their general manager in that scenario. But I asked you, if Bryce does not win a World Series, was it a good signing? 80% of you, overwhelming majority, said yes. Rob from Delaware probably summed it up best. He was like, he can't win it by himself, and he definitely is an ambassador and the leader of the team. And I would agree. The fact that, again, he did the Eagles celebration that they did, I think he's slowly creeping into that conversation of guys that you really want to win a championship here in Philly, because I feel like that celebration is going to be Maybe not quite as big as the Eagles just winning the Super Bowl, but it's going to be a big celebration, and we would love to see a guy like Bryce. And I totally agree. I mean, I think it's worth having the conversation. Obviously, 20% of you think it's World Series or bust, but I do think for what he's done, I think he's made this team relevant. If you remember, like that, after the end of the last golden era, I guess, there was some they were just an average team at best in the hunt for the wild card, but I mean, everybody was. And I think, like I said, he brought some legitimacy to the team. He definitely made it more of a free agent destination. And I would love to see him win. But I agree. I think even if they don't win a World Series, it was a good signing. And Joe from Drescher summed it up pretty well, I think. With a guy like Bryce, he's the leader of the team and gives you the potential to win every year. And I think that's what you want. I mean, at the end of the day, yes, World Series, that's the ultimate goal. But for a franchise that has only won 2 of them in their entire 100 and whatever year history, the fact of the matter is, I've spent a lot of summers watching some horrible baseball. So the fact that they're competitive and you got nothing to do on a random Thursday night in the summer. Phils are on, doing stuff outside, like have people over. You put the Phils on in the background, like on a Saturday. I think that's what Bryce Harper means to this team. So I think from that alone, coming from somebody who grew up watching those late 80s, early 90s teams and just how horrible they are, suffered through the Terry Francona years, the Ryan Sandberg years. I think the fact that we have competitive baseball to watch, that alone makes Bryce Harper worth the signing. So thank you, as always, for participating in the question of the day. We'll have another one later in the show. And then the home opener's Monday, but there's calling for thunderstorm chances. And I feel like this will be the 3rd year in a row, if I kind of remember. I know last year they got rained out for the home opener, but there is that possibility because it looks like the thunderstorms are going to be coming in right around that time of the first pitch. So we'll continue to monitor the weather like Hurricane Schwartz here on this day in Philly sports history. All right, Sixers in action tonight against the Heat. Big game for them in the sense that the Nets did lose last night, so they're now a half a game back of that 5th spot, hanging on to that 6th spot. But the Raptors did win, so now the Sixers are 3.5 games up on them. They can make that 4 with a loss today. And will the dead cat bounce continue for the Flyers? They're in action today at 1 against the Buffalo Sabres. And this is a big game for them when it comes to lottery seeding as well. They're currently 1 point behind Buffalo for the 4th spot. So while it'd be nice to see Mishkov with the sort of taking the training wheels off of him and turning him loose, a loss here would be very, very beneficial for the Flyers. Union are back in action tonight. Big game down in Miami against Messi. Does look like Messi will be cleared and playing tonight. Last I saw yesterday, I guess barring something crazy. Good measuring stick for the Union. Hopefully we will be watching this because my daughter is a huge Messi fan. So Union Miami tonight down in Miami. Big game for the Eastern Conference early here in the season. Be sure to check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences podcast. Lots of great things happening with their sports fan network. Go to clashingconferences.com. Check out what they have to offer. Lots of fun. Like if you watch them, it really is that their sports fan network gives people a chance to come together and really just talk sports. Very similar to what you would do if you were at a bar, at a barbecue, just having a couple drinks, just chatting. So Steven and the team do a great job over there. So go check them out. All the podcasts are available wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. But go to clashingconferences.com, see if it's something that you might want to get involved in. The network is constantly growing and have been able to meet a lot of good guys, throughout my time sort of just working with Steven. I told you, him and I meet regularly, kind of put our minds together and bounce ideas and things like that. So go to clashingconferences.com, check out what they have to offer, and then check out some of their podcasts. Lots of March Madness talk over the past few weeks, so check them out. And then, of course, go to Philly Goat. I showed you the double bogey down golf shirt. They have a partnership with them. The shirts are amazing. The material is great. It's good for hot golf. And if you're a sweater like I am, that totally you're not going to look like you just jumped out of the pool. So go check them out. Get your Phillies gear too. It's never too late, never too early to stock up on Phillies gear. They have the fans. I will be wearing them today as we go to a nice little get-together. But go to Philly Goat. Check out everything they have to offer. The golf shirts are amazing. And use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com. Promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. All right, today we are going to go back to 2014. And on this day in 2014, the Sixers beat the Pistons 123-98 down at the Wells Fargo Center. Thaddeus Young and Michael Carter Williams led the way with 21 points each. This was the very, very early days of the process. So why are we talking about a random game in March with the Sixers? Well, they ended their NBA record-tying 26-game losing streak. They came into this game with a loss. They would have had the longest losing streak in the history of the NBA. They did pull out the win, tying the Cleveland Cavaliers for the longest losing streak. The Cavs from 2010 to 2011 also lost 26 games in a row. But this team, with the process, they weren't done their losing ways yet. The end of the following season and into the beginning of the 15-16 season, they lost 28 games, setting that NBA record. And that was peak process days when you just knew they were going to lose. They kind of are off the hook, though, because last season's Pistons team did tie them. But this franchise sucks. On this day back in 2014, Sixers beat the Pistons, ending their NBA record-tying 26-game losing streak. So this one, that's the question of the day. And I'm anxious to see where people come down on this one, because I hear all the time, and this isn't just locally, it's also on a national level too, that the Sixers are a storied NBA franchise. I don't see it. I mean, maybe the Syracuse Nationals in the early days were a storied franchise. They did win a championship in 1955. When they moved to Philadelphia, they won in 66-67 with Wilt Chamberlain. But I don't know if this is a storied franchise, because after that, they set an NBA record for least amount of wins and most losses in a season in the early 70s. Brought in Dr. J, but I always felt that those Sixers teams were more of a second-tier team to Boston and the Lakers. And because of that, is that why they're a storied franchise? They could never get over the hump. It took bringing in Moses Malone for them to finally get over the hump, but then they didn't do anything after that, and then they screwed it up by trading Moses, trading the number one pick. We fell through the post-Barkley, wasted Charles Barkley's career while he was here in Philly. And you can almost say the same thing with Allen Iverson, too. They had that magical run, but never could bring the right guys in. And then you see what happened with the process and then the Embiid era. I don't see it, but that's the question of the day. Are the Sixers a storied franchise? And I don't see it. I mean, if anything, like I see a team like the Houston Rockets being a better, more historical franchise than the Sixers. I mean, you hear everybody talk about the Lakers, Celtics. Sixers are not in that conversation. I wouldn't even put them in, and maybe I'm just down on them because of this season, but to consider them a storied franchise, I don't see it. But what do you think? Are the Sixers a storied NBA franchise? 267-495-8531. That'll get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. I'm anxious to see the participation level on this because, quite frankly, I don't think anybody cares about the Sixers right now. But that's just my feelings. Are they a storied franchise? I say not even close. I think, if anything, they're an inept franchise and have been over the course of their entire existence in Philly. They got lucky with the Wilt Chamberlain thing. Dr. J was a great pickup, but he couldn't get them over the top. And I'm not taking anything away from Doc. Don't think that. But he needed Moses. Iverson, love him. Probably my all-time favorite Sixer. Couldn't get them over the hump. They wasted Charles Barkley. Kind of wasted Embiid. And you can make the argument some of that is on Embiid too. But, I mean, when you choose Ben Simmons over Jimmy Butler, I don't know. Are they a storied franchise? Let me know your thoughts on that on the Back to the Future voice and text line or any of my social media. And then finally today, our Women's Big Five Hall of Fame Spotlight. We're going to spotlight Muffet O'Brien, now McGraw. She's from St. Joe's. She played there from 1974 to 1977. She's a Westchester native, Chester County's own, graduated from Bishop Shanahan. And she was one of the OG St. Joe's women's player, was on the team and helped sort of lead them in their early days of being a varsity team. She was a captain her junior and senior year. The St. Joe's Hawks took third one year in the East region of the AIAW tournament. In 1977, they took sixth, got all the way up to number 3 in the AP poll. Muffet's in the Big Five Hall of Fame. She's in the St. Joe's Hall of Fame. And she was just a pioneer on Hawk Hill, helping to get that team off of the ground. But she made her name after she graduated. She is one of the best women's college basketball coaches and likely one of the best coaches, period, men's or women's, in NCAA history. She coached 2 years as Archbishop Carroll. I can never say that school. Then went to St. Joe's as an assistant, went to Lehigh, and then she was named the coach of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, where she was a 2-time NCAA champion, went to the Final Four 9 times. She's in the Indiana Sports Hall of Fame, the Basketball Hall of Fame, the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame, Chester County Hall of Fame, Philly Sports Hall of Fame, and has 936 career wins. That just goes to show you how great she was. So great player, helped get that St. Joe's women's team off the ground, but made her name as a coach, championship pedigree, and Chester County's own. Muffet McGraw is today's Women's Big Five Hall of Fame Spotlight. So Muffet, thank you for all you've done for not only basketball in the Big Five, but just women's basketball in general. And you are today's Women's Big Five Hall of Fame Spotlight. On this day in 2014, Sixers beat the Pistons to end their 26-game losing streak. This was peak process, man. Peak process days. It was brutal. But that does lead to the question of the day. Are they a storied franchise? I say no way. I think that term storied gets thrown around too much, but let me know your thoughts on the Sixers. We will have more on the Phillies, Flyers, Union, and those Sixers tomorrow. It's going to be a beautiful day, people. Go out, enjoy this weather today, because tomorrow's going to suck. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for March 29th, 2025. My name's Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Saturday, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.